Well, hello. Welcome to the Elite Real Estate Podcast. One more time. Very excited again to be joined here shortly by a professional. We talked about this a little bit briefly, but being on time is important, and we are going to stick to that today. So, but without any further ado, I'm going to bring on Mr. Chris Prefontaine. My friend, how are you today?
I'm great, Jimmy. How are you?
I am fantastic and super excited to get to chop this up with you. I've been doing some research on you and gotten some information from your team and everything else. And I'm super excited because your story is a little bit different than a regular realtor, right? And you do some different things. And when you first hear like real estate coach, right, you think somebody that's going to teach me scripts. Yours goes much deeper than that. Yours goes much deeper than that into investing in some whole different worlds. So tell me about yourself. How'd you get started? How long you been doing this and where you're at now?
Yeah. I'll give you the 10,000 foot view just because it's 34 years this year. And you tell me if you want to peel it back and we'll go back to any piece you want. I started in 91. I've touched, first we're building homes. We then bought a brokerage. I did and put my broker hat on. I've never done that. Had one of the top brokerages in the area, sold that to Coldwell Banker in 2000. And then I coached from 2000 to the crash. I was coaching with a buddy of mine, Richard Robbins, up in Canada. He still does it. High GCI agents. And so that was my sort of post-sale endeavors. They were all earning lots of money. Their lives were a mess for a lot of reasons. We could talk about it later. And then I was working on my own properties up to the crash. And that part of the story is important, Jimmy, just because post-crash, everything changed. And that is I had no credit. I had no money. I was beat up from the 2008 debacle. So I said, all right, if I'm going to get back in the game of real estate investing, because my own properties was what I had when I was going into the crash, not brokerage. And what are the rules going to be? Like, what am I going to do here? How am I going to survive? I have no credit. I have no cash. So we started buying on what they now call creative real estate. I called it real estate on my terms. That's what my book's all about. And that is owner financing, subject to existing mortgages and lease purchase. That's how we buy. None of those require lots of money. None of them require bank loans and bank signatures and personal guarantees. That's key. Now, even though my credit's great now and my cash reserves are great now compared to after the crash, I still do not advocate signing on bank loans. And so we were doing our own properties, family company, myself, my son, Nick, my son-in-law, Zach, and my daughter, Kayla. And then in 2014, there was sort of organically a draw for people to learn more about it. It wasn't planned. And now fast forward, Smart Real Estate Coach has hit Inc. 5,000 fastest growing companies 3 years in a row. And we train real estate investors. And yes, we do have in the community some realtors. And you and I could talk about why. There's a lot of reasons why. And then we're in about 80 markets right now doing deals. So to your point, we don't just like sell a product or sell scripts or sell anything. We are in the trenches doing deals with these guys. We rev share. So we're like together with these guys for 2 to 5 years on, even if it's one deal. And some do many more. So I hit a bunch of 10,000 foot view pieces there. You can pull me back to any piece that you want.
No, I love it, man. And that's one of the beautiful things about real estate, right? Is there's so much to it and it's so robust and so many, I like to say it's like there's a lot of fingers to real estate, right? Like you have the real estate, but then there's so much more to it. So let me ask you this. In 2014, when that kind of shifted and you went more towards what you're doing currently, like what was the moment that transpired? Like was there a flash in the pan of something or how did you come up with that?
Two things. I always like coaching. That's why I was coaching agents way back when, right? And that niche, because I think two things happen when you coach. One, you sharpen your sword. You can't not do that. Like you have to. And secondly, you get to see like a microcosm of society would be all the people you're coaching. And now you get all that feedback and you constantly get better and better. So it's no different with the investors. And so when I got a call from a gentleman, we're on an island here, 3 towns on an island, and it's called the Quidnick Island. And there's a war college here in Newport. And so I got a call from a kid that said, hey, look, Chris, I'm in my late 20s. I've already gone to Afghanistan 3 times. I'm going back to civilian life in Oregon. I heard about you. Can you show me what you do? I didn't have a coaching program then, so I charged him next to nothing. And he came in my office and I taught him how to do deals. And then someone asked me to write an ebook about some sandwich lease technique I was doing for her database. I did that. And then organically it just grew. I think that first year in coaching, we did like, I don't know, $12,000 or $13,000. That was in 14. We'll hit $5 million this year because we're out there doing deals and making it work for people.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you said you're in 80 markets. So what does that look like, from a standpoint of you're in Boston, right? The Boston area, right? So, and then what areas are you in? And how did that come about too, to spread those and be nationwide?
Yeah, good question. When I went through '08, February of '08, like it was yesterday, I remember like a light switch went off and everything just boom. And then February of 12, from those 4 years, I was in my own way. I was in my head. It was a mental, I couldn't get out of it. I was just like, oh, I must have screwed up. I was blaming it on me. So once I finally said, and a bunch of people hitting me, mentors and friends going, what do you get out of your own way and get back in the game? So when I get back in the game in 12, I was frustrated from 12 to 13 because there was nothing, I think still to this day there's not, but there was nothing that like gave me something to learn in the creative real estate world, or any world for that matter in real estate, and then stayed with me for support, right? It was always go to a seminar, it's all warm and fuzzy, take a course, all warm and fuzzy. Then you go into the real world, you're like, oh shoot, I didn't know all this happened. So I wanted to create that. So I created it myself. And now when what we call associates hit a snag or anything, we're interactively in it with them. There is no better way to learn. And then people don't leave the community, right? They don't go shiny object to shiny object. They go, oh, this works. I'll stick around. So that's why we created it. Now, how do we handle that? All the deals in 80 markets are done by them and their entity. We are just in contractually like a consultant, and we get a revenue share piece. There's a processing company that runs it all for them, and then it disperses to them and to us and to their sellers. So it's pretty cool. And then, the neat part of this is, and why I want your audience is great for this, because you have a lot of all agents or some agents.
Typically our audience is mostly realtors, right? Like that's mostly my audience, and I'm a real estate coach as well. So I coach agents across the country, and it's you're pulling at my heartstrings when you talk about coaching, right? Because that's my thing. If I can transfer knowledge, right? If I can learn something and transfer that to somebody else, that's my goal.
Oh, this is cool. I mean, you and I, there's a lot we can talk about offline, because if I knew, like I was doing 100 homes a year back then, so you know what those numbers are like.
Oh yeah.
So I was with Mike Ferry way back in the 90s. That's where I learned it. And so when I knew my numbers back then. It was like 72 to 80% of my listings. I was just a listing agent. I'd sell. The rest of them I couldn't sell, right? No one's perfect. So if I knew now what back then, I would have had conversion, not all of those, but the ones that couldn't sell, I could have bought creatively. And instead of getting one commission, I trademarked it. I create 3 paydays on those deals. So it would have been a whole different setup for me. Even though I'm happy with my real estate journey, it would have been a whole different setup. So realtors can literally still do what they do, and then tack on anything that doesn't fit in their box. Because I know what, like, overpriced, don't want to do a short sale, don't want to pay a realtor. All these things that you don't get, you can now get, and you can be the expert. It's a really cool tack on.
Yeah, and that's the key, right? Because it is, and doing 100 deals a year is crazy. It eats up all your time. It's not fun, right? Every agent I've talked to that did 100 deals, the money's great, but everybody hates it, right? Like,
and you got to do it again in January. I remember being bummed out, going, "Okay, good year, but now I got to do it again." Yeah. And so with the 3 payday system, where we can hit it later, like there's no replacement for that. If you and I were going to open a restaurant now, the model of the 3 paydays is great because it's cash now, cash monthly, and cash long term. That's a good business model, period, even though it's on deals for us.
Yeah. And you said you have some agents that you work with right now. Like what type of agents are you working with that you have? And again, it's not a lot of agents, but you have some that are kind of into your coaching program. What does that look like for them?
Yeah, knowing that I'm speaking to all agents, I'm not saying this to step on toes, but what I will say is, if most agents truly got it, like put the ego aside and understand what this is all about, you'd learn it instead of referring to us. We got a lot to refer to us. And I say to them, why don't you learn it? Like, I'll get a referral. I'll give you examples instead of theory. We got a referral in Connecticut. We're in Rhode Island. We got a referral in Connecticut from this guy, Dale. He sends us like 2 or 3 a year. They're deals that either are going to expire. He just can't convert them. So, hey guys, here's my seller. Go get him. He's looking for your call. Well, his commission on that $300,000 house would be whatever, 15 or half of that, whatever, right? Well, we made like 85 grand on that. So I say, Dale, why don't you learn it? Like, you could have helped your sell. You could have been the hero, the authority. And, oh, by the way, you would have made a lot more money. So, I mean, I don't even know if I answered your question on that, but that was just an example.
You did. And it's one of those things, like, people just don't know what they don't know. Yeah. Right. And then this piece is just another added piece to this. And again, it's the beauty of what you're creating. And you create it with your family. I think that's a very special thing that you're creating with your family, and the keeping that together. And 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 again, there's probably some stressors with it, right?
Yeah.
But for the most part, you get to hang out with your family all day.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, people say, "How did you?" I'd like to do that, or they come in. We have small boot camps here, and they'll come in with their family to see what we do. And I'll say, I didn't. It was all organic. We didn't do it like I didn't go, "Okay, you're going to do this, and you're going to do this." It was I started out, and by 14, I was overwhelmed by the buyer side, the disposition side. So my son Nick came in and started doing that. He was an agent back then. He's since resigned it like me, but he was an agent then, and he came in and helped. Then he was full time. Then my son-in-law Zach and daughter Kayla were in bartending, and they in this area, it's a resort area, good money, but talk about a crappy lifestyle, right? So they came in and said, "Hey, can we start?" And it ended up being where Nick still gravitates towards the buyer side specialist. Zach loves the other side, the seller side, and Kayla was more. She doesn't now; she has kids, but she was more the general manager. That was all organic. It wasn't like you do this, and So it was good. It was fun to do that.
Yeah, it's great. It's everybody picking up the shovel, right? Not just everybody just trying to
free ride.
Yeah, no free ride. I love it. So let me ask you this. So now you're in 80 different markets. You've got these people in. What's been your strategy? Are you looking to add more people to your coaching? Where are you at with the coaching piece?
Yeah, we have coaches now. So back then it was me. Then it was me, Nick, and Zach, and now we have 3 additional. There's like 6 or 7 people now coaching. They can't just come in our environment, and this as being a coach. We're specialized, right? Creative real estate. So they don't just come in and go, "Hey, I want to coach." They have to go through our entire program. Then they have to work with me at the higher levels because I still coach at the higher level echelons. Then after they do that with me, and they've had at least 5 of these street paid deals under their belt, that's a lot. They're super big. Then they can coach. They can start going through the certification process. So we're always grooming more coaches. They're in the trenches. Quick example, Rick is in New Hampshire. He was, let me think, 30 plus years in the government. Like, this is a lot. He just couldn't exit. He tried wholesaling, flipping. He finally found us. He left his job, did like his first 400 grand in 4 deals. I think it was 500 grand in 5 deals. And then he left his job. That's after 30 years with the government. He left his job, and now he coaches with us. Well, that's a cool story. So anyone looking to leave their JOB, he takes them under their wing and goes, "Here's what I did. Here's the predictability. Here's how you can do it." It's pretty neat.
Yeah. No, very neat. And then profitable, right? It makes sense. You're not doing a lot of heavy lifting. It's more strategy, right?
It is.
And again, but it's knowing that strategy. You're playing chess, not checkers. That's the amazing part.
It's a good analogy. Yep.
And so what's the market been like for you though? Like, because that was one of the big things everybody talked about. They go, I know these guys that are investors, air quote investors, flippers, and they do their thing. And it was a struggle for the last couple of years to try to find something that fit financially to flip, because we've hit these upper echelon of pricing and everything else. So what's that market been like for you?
Yeah, this is huge, because the flippers, to your point, it is much tighter, much more competitive now. And the wholesale is, think of it, there's, aside from competition, everybody wholesales because they think that's the thing you do first, which I disagree with, but they think that's what you do first. So you go wholesaling. And then they're all, if you think about just spinning plates, they do a deal, they get a check. They do a deal, they get a check. Well, when the market started slowing down, they were hurting. So look at what we do. When the market's up, down, sideways, it doesn't matter. It's once you learn creative, you are actually excited, because when there's change, people have uncertainty. When the people have uncertainty, i.e. buyers and sellers, right? Because the media is screaming and things are going haywire. That's where we come in. Because I don't care what the market's doing. We can create deals that work. It's just a matter of whatever the market's doing, we're fishing in a different pond as far as who we getting leads from or where we getting them from. There's a brand new list now called Distressed, unique to our community. For example, this list, Jimmy, has way before the radar. Are you slipping on your car payment, your medical, your utilities, things like that, not mortgage yet. We get that list. That's a huge list. It's not available to everybody. So we still do expired listings for rent by owner, for sale by owner, depending on what the market's doing, right? Or we go niche list, off market.
Got it. Yeah, that list would be amazing, because again, I have a background on the servicing side of mortgages too. I have a mortgage background, and then the servicing sides too. And we always talked about, like, back in 2006, 2007, like, people were a flat tire away from losing their house, right? If they got a flat tire in the car, their house was gone. There was no fixing, because then they couldn't go to work. It was a disaster. So that list would be big, because again, whether it's medical, whatever bill it is you're behind on, then it affects the next thing, which
That's
is what
trickling.
house that you own, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And so when you're combing through these lists now, how are you getting, you dial these people? Do you, like, cause you said something about FSBOs and expireds. Are you calling them, or how are you getting in front of them?
Yeah, we have virtual assistants that are trained specifically for creative, because it's a different phone call than, say, a wholesaler or a flipper or a realtor. So that they're trained for creative. They will do the first dial. They don't have to. If you're good on the phone and you love it, do some dials. But I strictly use virtual assistants now. When I started, I didn't have the money to. So they'll do the first call, and then they'll give us the property information lead sheet, we call it, PILS. And then they will be a little bit warmer call for us, right? They're not all yeses. They're just, yes, have Chris or have the investor call me. And then that's where we come in. So we're doing like the second call at that point, a little bit warmer.
Got it. Yeah. And again, it may not be a yes right now.
Right.
But it's a lead.
Yeah.
And that's where real estate agents quit, because they think it's a lead as a client, and it's not. A client is a client, and a lead you have to turn into a client.
Yeah, and let me tell you, again, just because I lived their world for my first 13 or 14, whatever, 18 years, I get it that, like, I did hundreds and thousands of calls as an agent, and I know the difference when I can say to them, if I was still licensed today, when they all say, "Are you an agent?" Right? They all say it because they get hit by all agents. And you say, "Well, yeah, I'm licensed in your area, but I'm looking for homes in the area as well." It's a different conversation when you have that tool in your tool belt.
Yeah,
totally different.
Totally different. And so through now you have the Smart Real Estate Coach, this platform that you got. It's a phenomenal. I have the website pulled up over here on my other computer, and again, this group that you got your story. It's amazing. And what is the next? What's the next phase for Smart Real Estate Coach? Is it just adding more people? Is it diversifying? Where's your go-to now?
Yeah, no, we still want to. And you asked that. Sorry, I didn't get back to that. Yes, we're constantly adding because of the answer I gave with the coaches. And where are we going with this? We obsess over, as a company, certain metrics. One of them is time to first deal, because again, my frustration back when I started back in creative was no one's really helping you. Just sell you stuff and hope that you go do it. So our time to first deal is something we look at weekly with the coaches. We have contests with the coaches. This is all about doing deals. So we want to lower our time to first deals and increase the amount of deals, because when you have that much success, which we've now had for over a decade, it's pretty darn hard to go, "Oh, I wonder if this works, and I wonder if this works for me, and I wonder if this works in my area." No, all of those are good. They work. And when we were brand new, it was different. They go, "I don't know, there was a few deals being done back in 2014. Well, now it's hundreds of deals being done, and it's easy to see.
Yeah. And are you finding a lot of like private equity investors getting into this, or was it more like just people figuring this out? Like, you said you had a guy that left a government job after 30 years. Is it more of that, or is it like you have a lot of private equity people getting into this too?
All right, two answers. Our avatar, in no particular order, would be people like wholesalers, realtors, flippers, because they see this as, A, it's a trend. Like, the wind's on your back here with this industry. But secondly, it's a great add to what they're doing, right? Our other avatar is the guy, Rick, that you just kind of reiterated. Corporate America. I get it. I'm making good money. I could be a medical rep. I'm hustling my butt off, but my lifestyle, not so great. And I don't want to be working for someone forever. That corporate person coming over with already a strong 5 or 6 figure income is a very big part of what we're doing now. It wasn't intentional. Just a lot of those people gravitating towards us. COVID sparked a lot of that, as you know, like record numbers started their own business. And so many people want to do real estate because they do have the freedom. Rick went from 12-hour days to having fun, built 2 or 3 people on his team, and he's doing, I think he just hit $1 million. Like, that's crazy for most people to think about. So that's our avatar. Does the private equity person come? So I said we have 2 answers for that one. Yeah, but they come in differently. So are there deals, even though we teach no money down, are there deals where if you just had 15 or 20 grand, you could hit some home runs? Yes. And the average student who doesn't have that, like I didn't when I started, they have to pass on that. So what we've told them is, don't pass on it. Call us and maybe we'll do the deal with you. So this week we got 2 wholesalers who referred us deals. One needs like 15 grand. One needs like $7,500. That's it. They don't do them. These are sellers that said to them, nah, I'm not taking 60 or 70 cents on the dollar. And they smartly are aligned with us. And they said, well, hold on. I have a partner that might be able to get you to your market value and that we come in. And so we probably have 2 deals this week just from a wholesaler going, hey, I can't do this deal. Or realtors are like that too. There's some deals they can't do, right? So they can refer us or they can do them.
Yeah. Oh man. It's such an unbelievable product, right? Because again, when you walk into a house as a realtor, like you're like, we always say, what, I got to put a sign in the yard, right? Like I got to put a sign in the yard. If I don't put a sign in the yard, I'm not selling it. But now you have options, right? Like, and I think being creative is one of the things that we miss because we're so standardized, right? Well, you need a mortgage, you need, however much down, you need a inspection, you need to all the things, right? And so through your teaching, let me ask you this, just to boil this down to just the simplicity of it. So like, let's say, I'm a realtor, right? And I go meet somebody that is their house is, it's, we could sell it for 200,000. It's probably worth 250, right? But the shape that it's in, we could probably get 200 with the most for it, right? What would be my next step with you guys, would it like be a phone call to Chris and be like, hey, I have this, and just explain the process?
Yeah. So let me precede that just one step, and that would be so they can get a visual. Picture this, because I did a lot of listing appointments. I get it. Picture going into the listing appointment with the mindset of, and you say it to them morally and ethically, they're really going to appreciate this. You say to them, look, I got a bunch of questions for you because I can either list this and sell it at best retail we can, or if it's better for you, I can buy it. Let me look at your situation and tell you what's best for you. When you start telling people the truth about what's best for them versus I got one goal here, and that's going to be to list your house, it's a different conversation there. God comes right down. So in your case with that question of the $200,000 because it needs work, if they said, no, it doesn't work for me, it's too cheap, you could say, well, I have an investor partner that knows how to get you a little bit closer to perhaps what you're looking for. Would you like me to make the introduction? Now you're the authority. There's not so many agents in your market yet doing that. And I think that's a nice positioning tool for you. Not to mention you probably get a bunch of other agents referring business to you. So then if you're in our experience, one of our experience levels, I call it, one of our programs, you would pick up the phone and call your coach. You put the coach on with it, you capitalize on it. You do the deal instead of referring to one of us. Look, I love referrals because I'd send the agent like 20% or whatever it was. It's good money, but why not learn it yourself?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, and again, it's another tool in your tool belt. Like it's another added piece because it is, and again, if I'm only going into a listing appointment, like you said, you've been in hundreds of listing appointments, same thing. It's nerve wracking. Can I get this deal? Then can I actually sell it? Especially if I'm trying to convert a FSBO, because they think their house is worth way more than it actually is most of the time. And whatever the Zestimate says, that's what they're going to do. But having this extra added tool in your tool belt is such an advantage to use something like the Smart Real Estate Coach.
Yeah. And when I say morally and ethically, I mean this in the nicest way because we only can work with the tools we have, right? So let me give you another example because this just came up last week. There was an agent that one of my students, it wasn't me, it was one of my students. We do boot camps. We literally call them live right here. And Judy called this seller, and then 2 seconds later gets this call from an agent, rip roaring, saying, why are you calling my client? We nicely said, look, relax. We're not agents. We saw a cancel listing when we called. Well, they're upside down and I'm going to do a short sale. So Judy got me on the phone and I said, look, with all respect, I was an agent too. I get what you're doing, but if you do a short sale, there could be some repercussions for your client, right? And she said, well, we don't know that yet. She's very standoffish. I said, well, if we buy it, catch up their arrears and keep their mortgage current, their credit's great. They have no marks. They have no dings. They have no repercussions. Would that not be a better use of a better relationship for you, for your client? These are just examples, but there's hundreds of them like this.
Yeah. Yeah. And what we're seeing now, statistically speaking, we are seeing, there are some pre-foreclosures. Those are picking up steam a little bit.
Sure are.
They're picking up steam a little bit. That, and again, I've talked to people who've done short sales. To your point, you just kind of brought that up. This is not that, right? And that's where people need to be clear on. This is not a short sale, right? Like this is, and this is actually helping people. People can say the short sale helps. It just helps them get out of it, right? It doesn't really help them financially. It just helps them get out of it. In your product and what you're teaching and what you're doing actually helps them put some money in their pocket.
money in their pocket, or if there is no equity there, at least it saves their credit like within a few months. If you start to pay, usually 6 months. Let me give you another quickie. House, Cape Cod, resort area, hour and a half from here. Husband on the deed, wife on the mortgage. They go on the market with a realtor. I think it was like high threes, low fours. Yeah, like I think it was 440. They owed like high threes. So this was going to be a break even at best or come out of pocket. By the time the listing expired, didn't sell. Then they got a hold of us. I forget how they found us. Then they were $4,100 in arrears. So, okay, you caught it. You're calling us early enough. You're not grossly, but they needed a fix right then. And so we bought that house subject to the loan staying in place. So we didn't sign on it personally. We caught up to $4,100 in arrears, but our buyer brought 41 grand to the table. So it's not like you got to come out of pocket when you do these properly. And this couple, their credit, boom, back on track, right? Yep. If we didn't step in or for some reason they didn't find us, they both left. They were fighting. It was not amicable. They were like, to hell with it. I'll let the house go. They would have had a foreclosure on them. And that, as you know, that's going to haunt them for 7 years. That's a great example. Like there's so many of these examples. It's crazy. So yeah, the door is wide open for the agents to learn this.
Yeah. And again, like to your point, what agents, and this is one thing I try to coach agents on all the time, is we have a fiduciary responsibility to our client, right? And it's not our commission. Our commission is not our fiduciary responsibility, right? Our fiduciary responsibility is to put our clients in the best financial situation possible. It's to help them along this path. And what you're saying is exactly another tool to help them get through this. Because, and again, two things happen in our country every day: death and divorce.
Yeah.
And a house sale usually comes along with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's not going to stop. And then people getting married and buying their first house is not going to stop. That's why I teach residential, Jimmy, but the way we buy, you can buy any asset class. I bought my office building, owner financing, no money down, no commercial loan, principal monthly payments. Like we can get into there's a whole other avenue here, the profitability, but each one of our deals run the 3 payday system that I trademark. They run a low of 45,000 to a high of 350,000 per deal. Now that's over time, right? You don't get commission. You get the upfront, like you getting your commission, but then you get your monthly cash flow in your long term. It's a different quality of income because I've done both.
Unbelievable. Yeah, we need to talk. We'll talk more.
Yeah, we can. I got some ideas off here for the communities. Yeah.
Oh man, it's like mind melting right now. There's so many things running through my head right now that I'm like, I read all your info and I caught up on everything, but I'm like, wow, there's even more than what I thought was here.
We'll do a deeper dive.
Oh, I love it. And so how are you attracting people to use your platform? Right? Are you, is it social media? Like, how are you attracting people to come to Smart Real Estate Coach?
We weren't advertising or spending a dime on social till mainly this year. We tinkered last year a little bit. So you'll see ads on Facebook and Instagram. And now I think we're playing with Google because we're big on YouTube. And we've been on YouTube since 2017, producing 3 videos a week. So there's a lot of exposure there already. They can go on YouTube, for example, type in Smart Real Estate Coach. We do videos Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Well, Sunday is called Deal Structure Sunday. This is like 500 deals on there. We just expose them. Here's the good, the bad, and the like, go look. This is what we do. And we don't hold back. So that's one way. The second way is getting on shows like this. Like people that listen to podcasts are avid learners. They don't sit and listen to a podcast for half hour, 45 minutes, hour, whatever, if they're not into improvement. And that tends to be a big draw for us. So they'll hear a conversation like this and go, I want to learn more. Thank you for the free. Let me go check it out, right? Because I'm about free, especially in the beginning. And then referrals, because in corporate America, like Rick, he goes to, like an alumni event and everybody's like, what the heck are you doing? How'd you get there, right? So they all want to know. So referrals are big like that.
Yeah. And again, there's so much you could do with what you're talking about, right? Like with again, being able to provide another service to your clients, being able to refer, to find other agents, to find deals, to again, expand on your business. Now, because here's what everybody's looking for. Everybody's looking for passive income, right? That's what everybody's looking for. Everybody wants some passive income. What does that look like on your end? Does it become passive income, or is it just like I invest, I get my money back, and then I invest in something else?
2 tiers to that. So when someone comes in new, if they need to keep the cash flow going, like when Rick first left his job, his strategy was what? Create the 3 payday deals, but get them cashed out as soon as I can. So that as soon as I can is typically 18 to 36 months. So you're getting the upfront check, cash flow for 18 to 36 months, then you're getting a big lump sum again. per deal. Then now he and others, once they get to like 5 or 6 deals, they do what I call wealth stacking, which I've also trademarked. And that is, okay, let's look at the portfolio. Let's not exit these per se. Let's maybe keep some of these long term. So my son Nick and I had 2 sales in January that we held for 13 or 14 years. Like you can massage this to meet your lifestyle and your needs. And then at some point, can you put all of these deals into a self-directed IRA, and parlay some tax-free stuff? Yep. So different strategy for everyone, depending on what your cash situation is like. Cash flow.
Yeah. And that was my next thing. And the self-directed IRA was new to me in the past, 8 months. Like I didn't realize what a self-directed IRA was a few months ago. Now I'm like, holy crap. I moved all my old 401k stuff into a self-directed IRA. I haven't done anything with it yet, but I moved it all over, which actually was in time before everything happened with the market. So I actually moved it at the right time.
Good timing. Well, let me give you an example then real quick, and you could do this, and so could the listener. So again, we teach single, but do I deviate and play with what I want? Yeah. So internally, our family team, we did a mailing of just 275 pieces. I'm not big on big mailings because they're not predictable. Right. So we did 275 pieces. We targeted one zip code, and we targeted building owners that own 4 to 10 units that were free and clear, no mortgage. We bought 2 homes, a 6 and a 4, doing that. One of them I put into my self-directed IRA. We put 0 money down. We collected a check at closing because, as you know, if you're buying a multi and you just time it to the beginning of the month, I walked away with about 11 grand. My IRA did. And then we sold that because our terms with the seller were monthly principal only payments, cash you out with a balloon on it before 4 years. We sold that prior to 4 years. About 116 grand was the profit, the cash out. Well, all that went into the self-directed IRA. And now you go take that and you do what you want, but you don't need money to do these deals, so you can keep parlaying it. That's just one.
Yeah. Incredible. Man, this is like, it's like mind blowing right now. It's such good stuff. And going back, like, let's peel back another layer here. Like so you like 2014, you went through the crash, everything was terrible. Like so many realtors and everybody else did. Where did you start going down the line of this creative stuff? And then how did you learn? Did you just learn it by just banging your head against the wall like the rest of us did?
Kind of. Kind of. That's when my frustration came with no program like that was A, all encompassing, and B, supportive. So by January or February of 13, actually, I started a website in 12, got out of my own way by 13 and started doing deals. And in August of 13 till December, I think I did my first, I think it was 11 or 12 deals. But those 11 or 12 deals, as I started charting them in Excel, the 3 paydays went over $1 million. That's when the light bulb went off. And I said, okay, like I remember walking home. I had to go to a 1-bedroom apartment, Jimmy, when I get hit. I mean, I went from an oceanfront home to a 1-bedroom apartment, 900 square feet, my wife and I. And I remember walking home to the office because we had to sell all our cars, showing her like, look, my aha was right then. Like, there's $1.2 million here that's going to happen over the next 3 years with these deals we just put together. And then I started getting excited and scaling it. And then the coaching came behind that. So that was really the impetus to what we do today.
Got it, man. And so the coaching aspect, you got into coaching. Was it like a natural fit for you? Like you just decided to like, and I feel like this was a lot of air quote coaches, right? Or investors, however you want to look at it. But I can just tell in your heart and in your voice and in your passion, like I can see that coach is in you. Has that always been there, or and has it just been brought out more?
No, I mean, I always enjoyed it. Like I said, I coached agents back then. I was just like, what do you making a mess of your life? Like I was just wanted to fix it with them, Yeah. And then prior to that, I think it probably came from, I was in the direct sales business when I was younger. So I always like having that win-win kind of relationship. So that's why and how. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. And I mean, man, like, and now you've written 4 books, right? Was that where you're at for?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And are your books on investing, or the real estate investing piece or
yeah, all of them. Yeah. Okay. So real estate on your terms. If you've seen this via video, not just audio on the podcast, that one over my shoulder is real estate on your terms. It was published in a bestseller in 17. And then coincidentally, we started kind of updating it because I'm big on staying current in 20, and then COVID hit. So we dragged our feet a little bit more because a lot of other things changed during COVID. And then that came out towards the end of 20, beginning of 21-ish. So that's the revised edition, also bestseller. Then we wrote a book called Deal Structure Overtime. Because if you go on YouTube, like I said, there's deal structures, Deal structure over time was, or is, okay, here's all these deals, but here's kind of the nuances behind the scenes, the seller avatar, the challenges and how we set it all up, like deeper than the video shows. And then New Rules of Real Estate was, or is, a bunch of cool hosts from my podcast that came on that are in different niches in real estate. Cause I'm not so naive to think, I'm biased, but I'm not so naive to think what we do is all you can do in real estate, right? There's a lot of healthy, cool niches in real estate. So New Rules of Real Estate gives you a bunch of that. So you can kind of learn a little bit of a variety.
I love it. And again, your podcast, and I just put the website on there. It's smartrealestatecoach.com where you can find everything. And then your podcast, again, I listen to your podcast. It's amazing. And again, talking about just different ways you can do real estate. And it's not all the same, and it's not cookie cutter at all. It's all different. And you guys are getting super creative with the things that you're doing. And let me ask you this. Now, you've been doing it for a while, right? How much has changed, like pre-COVID, post-COVID, all that stuff? How much has that changed in the last 4 years?
I think it changes every 6 or 8 months, right? Because if there's one constant real estate is that it's always changing. That's why I say to people, like realtors right now, there's a ton of realtors leaving the business. Yeah. Well, I can't imagine creative real estate. Like in creative real estate, it's okay. The market changed, but I know how to pivot with it. And I can put my head on the pillow at night going, oh, I'm super confident. I know exactly what to do in this pivot. That's where you want to be, not, oh, shoot, this is not good. I got to like leave the business or my check's going to go down. No, there's no reason for that. Now, it's no secret. If you look at MLS right now, a whole bunch of people are experimenting with rent-to-own and owner financing. Well, that's what we've been doing for over a decade. They're just doing that now because they've run out of options. Well, learn it and be the expert and be the one they seek out on MLS. That's what I'm going to tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. Be the difference maker. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. Show something different and get creative. And again, one thing that I always try to teach real estate agents too is what value are you providing? Again, outside of throwing a sign in the yard or opening a lockbox, what else can you do for me? Because we can train anybody to open a lockbox and we can train anybody to put a sign in the yard. How are you actually going to sell the things and what value do you provide me? And again, the more you can learn and the more again, products that you have and the smartrealestatecoach.com, I can learn these things and then bring those values to my clients, which elevates my game as a realtor.
Yeah, for sure. Well said.
Yeah. And again, you guys are killing it. You're doing an amazing job. Talk to me about like Smart Real Estate Coach. You talked about boot camps. What are your boot camps like? And how often do you do them?
Yeah, we do two things as far as in person. This has changed for market reasons.
Sure.
So we do a big event every year in Boston. It used to be in Rhode Island. It's called QLS Live. Quantum Leap System is our program. So it's called QLS Live. That's in October. I don't know when this airs, but that's in October. They can just go to QLSlive.com and learn more. But the boot camps are way more personal and hands-on. So the boot camps are right here in my office. I do not have a big conference room. So it fits 10 to 12 of the students. And then I'm here personally, my son and partner, Nick, my son-in-law and partner, Zach, and one of our coaches. Every time, so it's 4 of us to 10 or 12 students. What we do is this, 2.25 days. Day 1, they bring leads. We literally are calling their sellers for them. By the end of the day, we have a handful, usually 8 or 10, of deals that are ready to go. The next day, we're deal structuring them and literally drawing up the paperwork. They are leaving our office with appointments in their home market and sometimes already a deal. And then the third day, we structure their own personal kind of strategy with metrics. So, okay, if you want to do this, here's how many sellers you got to talk to. Here's how many you got to convert. That'll equal your goal. Very predictable now. It's on a spreadsheet. So and that's right here in the conference room. We do that about every 6 or so weeks.
Okay. And so one of the things that I wrote down too is you have that they bring their list, right? So are they bringing you like an expired list from their market or what they
would have already called. We do some in the room, but I'd rather have them already have called some and we're calling leads, like true leads. Now, if somebody's brand new and they want to come, they come and they sit in there and they learn a boatload. It's just that they won't have their deals being done, right? It's okay. You're still learning so much because it's us doing calls. Like they'll stand where I'm standing at my stand-up desk right here talking to you. 4 or 5 of them will be in here. 10 will be in the conference room with my son-in-law, Zach, and 5 will be in the room with one of the coaches. We're doing live calls. They get to see it firsthand.
Got it. Incredible. Because there's nothing that beats that. There's nothing that beats that hands-on watching somebody else do it. There's not one thing that beats that.
Right.
It's incredible. It's incredible. So we got about 5 minutes left. and I want to be respectful of your time, but where can we find you? One,
Okay.
and then when's your next boot camp? What are your next plans? And what do you do? What's the next big thing for you guys?
Okay. And when will this air, Jimmy? So I have a rough idea. I want to give it timely information.
Yeah, next week. Yep, next week.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
So the next boot camp for them, because we have one next week, would be June. I think it's June 4th, 5th, and 6th.
Okay.
But it's the beginning of June. It'll be on our website. They can find us. I want to give everybody a free book. Like we've been talking about the book. So just go to wickedsmartbooks.com/Jimmy. And let me say this. You're all used to, if you're listening to this, you're used to get my free book, and then you go and you got to put in $8 for shipping. This is free. You won't put in 10 cents. It'll ship from my office. There'll be some goodies in there. You'll get one or two of the best sellers. One of them will be real estate on your terms. I promise you that.
So what was that website again? Is it wickedsmartbooks.com/Jimmy?
Yep. wickedsmartbooks.com/Jimmy.
Got it. I just threw that up there on the screen too.
Yep. Perfect. That way I know it came from your tribe. I want to honor that. I just think there's so many people in your tribe in the realtor world, just because I lived it, that I could help with. I could literally be on the phone with your sellers with you.
Yeah. No, man. And it's big. And again, knowing that, and again, feeling that passion that comes out from you, knowing how long you've been doing this and that you've been in this game, not only just on the investor side, like you said, you started out as a realtor. So
yep.
You get it. You sat in those listing appointments where it's tough and you're trying to come up with a price for somebody.
Yep.
Oh, incredible, man. So again, I appreciate the time. It does fly by. It's been 45 minutes, man. And again, I appreciate everything you've talked about. I will get this information out. You guys who are listening to this later, it's wickedsmartbooks.com/Jimmy. You can check it out there. Check out the smartrealestatecoach.com. And Chris Prefontaine, you can find him everywhere, right?
Just Google it. It won't be hard.
I found it. When I Googled it, I found a whole bunch of information. All good stuff, though. All good stuff. So, well, I appreciate you, my friend. I look forward to talking to you again because we need to get you back because we're going to do some more stuff. And I'm super excited for that. You got it. I appreciate the time. Guys, again, find him, smartrealestatecoach.com, wickedsmartbooks.com/Jimmy. We'll get you a free book, a real book, right? And they don't have to pay $8 for shipping. Talk to you guys all soon on the Elite Real Estate Podcast.